Daf Chof Beis. We're going to begin now on Chof Aleph Amud Beis by Tashma on the bottom. Tashma, come, and I'm going to bring a riot from the Mishnah. K'tziyos baderech, if dried figs are found on the path, afilu b'tzad stei k'tziyos, and even if they were found at the side of the field, where the dried figs are spread to dry, and likewise, if there's a fig tree whose branches extend over the path, and found figs beneath it, mutaris mishum gezel. Those figs are permitted to take them and are not usher due to the isser of robbery. And the pturis min meiser, and since they're hefker, a person who finds them are exempt from the obligation to separate meiser. B'zeisim b'charuvim, however, olives or carobs, usher is usher. Now, granted, the first clause of the Mishnah is not difficult according to the opinion of Abaya, as we can explain that one conscientiously despairs of recovering the dried figs. Since dried figs are significant and valuable, one feels around them to ensure that they have not become lost. It is reasonable to assume that shortly after the fruits fell, the owner became aware of them and he was miyayish them. In the case of fig trees too, one knows that it is common occurrence for the fruit of the fig trees to fall from the trees and renounce ownership at the outset. The nursery, one knows that it's common occurrence that the fruits of the fig trees falls from the tree and the guy's miyayish it. But according to Rav, also it's going to be a question. Because it says that the olives or the carobs is also take fruit. So what do you see from here? Yish midas, lo yavish. Amar Bo says shani zayis. Olive is different. Since it, his parents proves the identity of the owner, as the fruit fallen from the trees appears similar to the fruits of that tree. And even though the olives fall off the tree, the one who finds the olives knows that an olive tree is located in a place that is owned by a specific person belonging to that person. The owner will not be miyayish. If so, it should be usher to take the fruits fell from the fig tree. A fig becomes disgusted when it falls off the tree, even if the fruit can be attributed to the tree of the origin. Since it's no longer fit for consumption, the owner would not want the fruits and consequently renounce his ownership. Tashma, come and bring a raya from the Brisa. A thief who took an item from this person and gave it to that person. And likewise a robber who took an item from this person and gave it to that person. And likewise in the case of the Jordan River or another river that took an item from this person and gave it to this person. That which he took and that which he gave, he gave. Likewise, in which the river took, and that which the river gave, it gave. The person who received the item does not need to return it. Now, granted, in the case of the robber and the Jordan River, the chazi lihu miyayish. One could say that the owner sees them, takes the item, despairs of its recovery. But in the case of the thief, mi kachazi leidi miyayish. In the case of the thief who takes the item, does the owner see him take the item that would lead them to despair? After the one we're talking about Papa Blistim Mizuyim, we're talking about armed bandits. Therefore, the owner is aware the item was taken and he's miyayish. Hainu Gazlan. It's the same case of the robber. So when it says today Gabni Gazlan, there are two types of robbers. In which case, the owner was aware that the item was taken. Tashma, come and bring a raya from a brisa. Shotav nor kaidov. If a river swept away one's beams, eitza of one's wood, va'avana of one's stones, and placed them in the field of another. These items belong to the owner of the field, because due to the fact that the respective owner despaired of the recovery. Now, time of the the reason they belong to the finder is that the owner despaired of it. But in the case of unspecified case, where it's not definitively known that the owner despaired, they do not belong to the finder. Apparently, after the where the owner is capable of rescuing the beams, wood, of stones, and therefore the decision not to rescue is declared in the occasion of Yush. Fred the Gemara asks the Gemara if he look at the Sefer of the Brisa. If the owners were pursuing the items, then the finder is obligated to return them. Now, if it's a case where the owner is capable of rescuing the item, why did the Brisa specifically say a case where the owners were pursuing the items? Even if they were not pursuing the lost items, the items also remain in their ownership, and they were not miyash the recovery. Where he's capable of rescuing the items with difficulty. In the case the owner pursues the item, they did not despair of their recovering. But if the owner did not pursue the items, it indicates that they despaired their recovery. Tashma, coming here, a proof from the Brisa. What did the why did the Chacham say that in the case where one separates truma without the owner's consent, this truma is considered truma? In a case where there was someone who entered another field and gathered produce from it, and gathered and separated the truma without the owner's permission, if the owner is concerned about the action, an act of robbery, ain't truma, it's not truma, not truma. The Brisa continues, from where do you know whether the owner is concerned about the action and view it as robbery or not? If the owner came and found him separating the truma and said to him, you should have gone to take the produce of better quality and separate truma from that, then, if the produce is better quality, the produce he has separated is truma in Metziah Daf man than trumas truma. But if not, if the owners were gathered and added the truma he had separated, indicating that they agreed to the act of separation, truma. Now the Gemara questions the ruling of the Brisa. But why is it that if the produce of better quality than the produce he had separated is found, is truma? At the time that he separated the truma, he did not know that the owner would ultimately agree. The Brisa states that the truma is truma from the moment he separated, despite the fact, as known later, that the owner agreed. Apparently, in that case of Yish as well, the spear is not Yish Midas, heavy Yish, contrary to the opinion of Abaya, Abaya the Shavir where he pointed a shtech. Why? So at any point, one needs to be appointed as a shtech to be capable of separating truma for another. If not, then it won't work. We're talking about that he appointed a shtech. He told him, Zil Treim, go and separate truma. He did not say to him, Mehani, separate truma from these specific crops. Some of the balabayas, and when the owner intent is unspecified and it's clear which of the crops are meant to be separated from when the agent separates the truma, it's from the crops of the intermediate quality that he separates truma. Well, Bava said, no, go to the better ones. Where this digresses with related incident. Happened to come to the orchard of Mari Bar Isik. I said, the sharecroppers came and placed dates and pomegranates before them. Rav Ashi ate the fruit, didn't eat it. Meanwhile, Mar Bar Isik came and found them. He said to the sharecropper, so why didn't you bring the sage's fruit from those higher quality fruits? Now, why is the master not eating the fruits? The only respect truma. It's a mitzvah and he's okay with it. But here it's due to the shame that he said this. Why did you not bring the sages fruits that those are higher quality? They not really want to give them the fruits. Tashma, come and bring another ayah with regards to Yish Lemidas, Lehevi Yush, Hatal Alein V'Samach. It says, if two is still upon the produce, and he was happy about it, and then it's susceptible to Nignuvu. If it dried out, even though he's happy. It's not part of Bechiyutan. Since he wants to be Or answer is no. Shani Osan the Chiyita, not Chiyita. Iyach if I want to ratio, Nami. Asking the Papa, then a Papa Ramixi, it says Kiyita, McLean Kiyita, and Hokates at house. So, Bin Kiyita and Dumi the Chiyita, Maitan Das also means Kiyita Das. Tashma, Dom, Rabbi Mishum Mishum over Yahitzadok. Now I made the Shafla, Narashi Muteres. From where is it derived that in regard to last time that the river swept away that it's permitted for the final to keep it? The Ksiv says, Bechin Tas, Lachamini Bechin Tas, Mosi Bechin Tas, Lochalav, the Sachi Chashate, with the Menu Matzaso. And so you shall do it with the donkey, and so you should do it with the garment, so you should do it with every lost item that your brother, which he lost him, and he found it. One must return that which is lost from him, the owner, but it's available to be found in any person. So from the obligated that which is lost from him, and it's not available to be found by any other person. It's hefker property, and anyone who finds it may keep it. And the prohibition is similar to the allowance. Just like as in the case of the allowance, whether there is distinguishable mark or whether there is not a distinguishable mark, if the halacha, even though we have machlekes between Abaye and Rava, the halacha is typically ruled in accordance to the opinion of Rava, but here you have the famous one of the 6 cases that it's like Abaye, the Bial Kigam. In these cases, then it goes like a Abaye. So Yish Lamidas, have a Yish. Now that we refuted the halacha of Rava, and the halacha is that Yish Shlemidas, the spirit that is not conscious, Lo have Yish is not. So in those days that are blown of the tree by the wind, how do we eat them? Perhaps the owner did not disperse them. Since there's like these disgusting creatures and creeping animals that eat the dates after they fall, mikara yish miyash, no, he's miyash. But in the case of minors, orphans who are not capable of relinquishing property, what are you going to say? It said that we do not presume a valley to be land belonging to orphans. Rashi asks, if it's presumptive status mai, krachta mai, what about offenses? It's forbidden. And the Mishnah said, in the case of bundles of grain in the public domain, they belong to him. Even with regards, even if there's a distinguishable mark, we said holds the distinguishable mark that is prone to be trampled is not considered a siman. Is have a siman. Those who say that independently, now the Gemara brings a proof from that which we learned in a brisa. If there's no siman, what do you mean machas it? And these space siman v'ktanim b'shus adam harishulei alma siman asul the rest levi siman tif to the rava. But the Rava said no. Leilum the less they siman. Remember, there's no siman. The kamras b'shus yochim my machas. Machas makam he announces the place. For Rabba Amar makam levi siman. The itmar makam Rabba Amar levi siman. Rabba Amar have a siman. Tashma krichas b'shus adam harishulei b'shus yochim nitol machas v'alumis b'shus adam b'shus yochim nitol machas. In regards to sheaves, large bundles, doesn't matter. He has to take it in machas. Rabba hechi mataris for Rabba hechi mataris. Rabba mataris la tamei b'simin, Rabba and sel b'makim. Rabba mataris tamei b'simin krichas b'shus adam harishulei mishum the midras, because they are trampled out. Even if there had been a distinguishable mark on the bundles, it would have been destroyed when it was trampled. Versus Yachid, then Metal Machas, Le Midrisse, because they're not trampled. In regards to sheaves, Ben versus Yachid, versus Yachid, Metal Machas, Kivan, Tigivan, Le Midrisse. Since they protrude high above the ground, they're not trampled on. Rava says, according to the location, Kris Peshadam Rishalei, Dimin Nafshato. Talking about if one finds the bundles in a public domain, those belong to him due to the fact that they are kicked and rolled to a different location. Why the layman nafsh today? Because it's because they're not kicked and do not roll. And since they are heavy, they do not roll when kicked.